So I'm going to pick up kind of where I left off last time I got to come up here. And it was on John 13, 34 and 35. Jesus said, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." This is going to be a little bit longer than I usually talk up here before our groups.
Let's do it.
I'm doing it. All right. So our first verse, second, really, I was just reminding you of where I had been last time I was talking to y'all. It's going to be Matthew 20, 26 to 28. "Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be the first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." And so, I want to ask, the name of this message tonight is called Service in Recovery. Okay? Now, I have said this, at least in the men's group, for me. My recovery depends on my action. My relationship with the Lord depends on my action. I can't just sit in a chair on Sunday, Wednesday, or any other day. I could come every day and sit in that chair, but if I'm not active in my life, doing the things that God commanded us, then I am not truly in recovery. I'm just truly sitting in a chair. Right? So we're going to go on to the second verse. Matthew 23, 11 through 12. "The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." What does that mean, to exalt yourself?
To not put yourself first, to kind of sacrifice yourself.
To exalt yourself is to say, maybe I'm too good for that. I'm too good to serve. Right? I'm putting myself up here, exalting myself. All right? Does anybody, and I know there are several, does anybody remember what the last thing Jesus did before he went into the Garden of Gethsemane to be robbed? Or, to be arrested and then subsequently killed? What was the last thing Jesus did when he was in that room with his disciples?
Wash their feet.
He washed their feet. Right? Jesus, the creator of the universe, got down on his hands and knees before his disciples to wash their feet. Peter was like, "No, surely not. Let me wash your..." What did he say? What did Jesus say to Peter when he says, "Not me"? Anybody? He says, you can have no part in this if you do not allow it. Well, Peter says, "Well, then in that case, wash my head and my whole body too. Let's do this." Okay? But Christ, when he was saying, "Love one another as I have loved you," here is an example of Jesus walking that out. Setting the example. Not just saying, "Hey, be nice to each other." All right? Strangers can be nice to each other. This is a different kind of service. Okay? They lived in the desert. They walked everywhere. Feet were dirty, sweaty. And this was a thing that he did. He got down and served his disciples. Showed who he was. And then said, "And do as I have done to you." Right? Our next verse is Philippians 2, 3 through 4. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit." Vain conceit can be a synonym for exalting oneself. "Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others." Okay, so I said this was about service and recovery. This is a faith-based recovery, and so I have just explained to you where Jesus in the Word says to be of service. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about why is service so important in recovery. I have 6 points here. First, it reduces relapse and isolation. Service provides a sense of community and connection, combating loneliness and hopelessness, which are common relapse triggers. By being engaged, you combat the very things which can lead you back into whatever your particular addiction is. Keep in mind, a hard way doesn't say this is all about drugs and alcohol. There are a lot of different things that we can be addicted to. Service takes us away from those things which can trigger our relapse. Second, it creates purpose and meaning. By contributing to something larger than themselves, people in recovery can find a renewed sense of purpose and direction, especially when they may have felt lost during their addictions. All right, look, when I was a drug addict and long after I got clean, I still felt like the odd man out. I still felt like when I walked into a crowded room, I was still by myself. Okay? Even when I walked in and looked at myself in the mirror, I didn't like that guy. And if I didn't like that guy, I certainly felt like nobody else would. Okay? And so, by involving oneself in service, we build that sense of connection with others. We begin to repair our sense of identity. We have talked in here before. Recovery in a faith-based community is about recovering that person that God intended us to be in the first place. Okay? We are moving in that direction. There is no such thing as a person who has fully achieved that yet. We are all falling short. So we are all in recovery, or recovering what we lost through our sin. Okay? Next, it builds accountability. Taking on responsibilities through service makes individuals accountable to others, which provides motivation to stay on track with their recovery goals. Okay? If the only thing we do is come in here and fill a chair, then where is the accountability to be living the relationship that we have? If you have a relationship with another person, you can't just sit on the couch. It's not going to fly. Well, it's certainly not going to fly with God either. Okay? There is certain requirements called on us. Next, it improves mental and physical health. Helping others has been shown to reduce mental health distress, boost self-esteem. It can have positive effects on the brain that lead to a sense of well-being. Okay? Just the reality of working together to achieve something gives us that sense. Okay? At church, I heard my pastor talk about, I believe it was from the book of Nehemiah, where they all came together to rebuild the wall in Jerusalem. And they did it like that. So not only was the Lord's hand shown in that, but it showed what coming together can do. And they celebrated together their mutual accomplishments. Okay? And so when we get in service together, working as a group, we can do this as a recovery group. We have done this as a recovery group. We have all gone out, and we will do so again to serve the community, to let them know that we're here. That is a form of service. Next is it reinforces positive behaviors. The positive feelings that come from helping others reinforce healthy, sober lifestyles as a positive coping mechanism. A lot of us, when we reach stressful places in our lives, want to withdraw. We want to get away from other people. I'm just not in the mood. You know, the boss was mean to me today. I don't want to deal with it. I can come up with a million excuses for why I don't want to be of service. But the reality is, that is a poor coping mechanism. Self-isolation, just filling the chair, is not a good tool to combat the absence of our connection and identity with the Lord. It is not a good tool to combat any form of addiction whatsoever. In fact, if you begin to isolate, well, now you're by yourself, and who's whispering in your ear then? Say that loud. There you go. And what is he saying? I'm sure.
Nothing good.
Right.
Nothing
He is a liar, a thief, and a destroyer. And so he's not going to be telling you stuff. The thoughts that are coming through your head, which push you away, are not of the Lord. But when you come around people who are working their program, what we end up with is a tool which we can use to combat the very things which separate us from the Lord. When we work with our fellow Christians, we have that. When we step up to involve ourselves in what the church is doing, we become the church. Not the building, but the people in it. Last, it fosters personal growth. Service provides opportunities to develop new skills, build resilience, and gain new perspective on life and recovery. The reality is what I have found here of the last 2 months or so, since I got this new job, is that I find myself doing things that I have never done before. Okay, so developing new skill sets, building doors and strange things like that that never did before. Okay, I've put up a door but never built one. I'm using that as an example. There are a lot of things that aren't necessarily in our comfort zone when we engage in service. When we engage in service, we are often asked by the Lord to step outside of our comfort zone, to go into places and to do things which we would not normally do. And we're often going to be asked to do it when we're tired, stressed out, stretched thin. He's asking us to do that. Okay? I guarantee the night Jesus got down on his knees and washed the disciples' feet, he was stressed out. He knew what was coming. He had gone out to pray, I believe it was shortly after that, and said, Lord, if possible, let this cup pass from me, but not my will, your will. So he still submitted to the will of the Lord, of his Father. Okay? Which is what he's asking us, that even when we're stressed, step up. Okay? So I'm gonna close with just this one point. All right. When it comes to this recovery group, as we're meeting here, I'm telling you, as we're about to have a giant influx of people. This is our core right in this room right now. How are you serving? Okay? I mean, I can name certain people who are constantly at it. And I can name certain people who are constantly not. Okay? So I would like for everybody to take that home and think about, how are you going to serve? And when you're tapped on the shoulder and asked, hey, will you do this? Will you follow and set the example for the people who are coming in here from out there to show them what it means to live your recovery and not just sit in a chair? And with that, we're going to divide into our groups. The women and the girls are going to go to the back. Men and the boys are going to stay up front. That's it.